Yes. Well, hell, that is fantastic. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and joining us today. Thank you to those tuning in live on AOL.com. Big day, guys. We got a lot of fun stuff going on. First one, fantastic. Coming out here to talk to you in just a few short seconds. We got the whole crew from Divo here to talk to you. How do you feel about that? Oh, man, these guys are great. Amazing. We'll be on out here in a second, joined, of course, by one of our best friends in the whole wide world, coming to us from Rolling Stone, Mr. Alan Light, leading the conversation. They're going to sit in these chairs. They're going to talk. It's going to be fantastic. We'll open it up to you guys for audience Q&A. Those tuning in live at home, you're a part of this. Don't you worry. You get to be a part of the magic, all right? There's a button. You could press it. Maybe you already have. I don't know. I'm not there. But when you do press that button, a box pops up. You type a question in there. If it's a good one, we just might read it on the air. It's a fun thing to do. I encourage you to try it. So we got a clip we're going to watch. It's pretty great. We'll do that in a second, then we'll bring them on out here. But, of course, as is custom, if you've never been to one of these before, first of all, welcome. And second of all, they can hear everything. So I'm going to ask you one last time before we kick it off. Are you all ready to talk to the guys? Let's hear it. There you go. All right. Fantastic. That was lovely. Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and watch that. There is a lot of great stuff going on in that video. All right, guys, make some noise and welcome your moderator from Rolling Stone coming out here to talk to you, Alan Light. And today's guest, Divo.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Morning. Good evening.
Hello.
Hi.
Everybody here, thank you for joining us here in the room at AOL Build. Thank you for watching us out across the digital universe. And thank you, Divo, for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Alan.
Congratulations on a new record, gearing up for a tour, lots going on. Tell us, you were just telling me back before we came out here, your travel schedule for the next 48 hours or so?
Just flying to Dubai to do a one-off show, and then we're flying to Mexico, so we're just going to spend 24 hours in Dubai and come back. Crazy, right?
Just a little one-nighter in Dubai. That's good.
Just a little red eye.
Yeah. So tell me, what's the I have zero Spanish, so what's the right pronunciation here? Are we amor y pasión?
Amor y pasión.
Y pasión. Okay. So this is the first all Spanish album from you guys. Tell me how do the album concepts and themes come together? How do you get to a point of, okay, this one's going to be the Spanish one?
Well, I think that initially when we were put together, we wanted to create something that was unique, that kind of reflected all four of our voices and all four of our backgrounds. The three of us being from the classical world and Sebastian being from the pop world. And so kind of creating this hybrid fusion of pop and or classical or opera, and kind of coined the term popra in a way. But really it was more of kind of giving a sense of exoticism to these songs. And we did put many of these songs on the kind of playlist of like, we want to record Bésame Mucho. Okay, well, it didn't quite make the cut. We want to do Volver. Okay, well, that didn't quite make the cut on this album or that album. So we kind of got to the end and we said, you know, this is what we've been trying to do, lend this sense of exoticism. And it kind of really does revolve around this idea of kind of this Latin fuego romanticism. And so we got to a point where it was like, well, why not just do all of them? Put them all in and see what happens. And it was actually the most natural thing we could have. It was like, why did we never do this before? These songs fit our voices so well.
But is that usually how a theme or a concept comes together? I mean, is it sort of, there's things that you can sort of connect the dots and then come up with, oh, okay, that can be a way to assemble something?
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, at the moment now that we've started the campaign for this, the campaign for the album we started like a few months ago, but now we're really going straight into rehearsals for the tour, which kicks off end of this month. We are now kind of starting to think what are we going to record on the next record, probably next year? Because that's kind of how you work on these things, you know. You brainstorm over the course of a year, of 2 years. And I mean this album, the idea, as you said, the idea even to make this very specific Latin record is at least like 3 years old by now. Because it just takes time then to get all the forces together, you know. When we record a record, there's a lot of people involved. There's not just the four of us. There's our management, there's the record company, there's here the Spanish and the Latin American record company was very heavily involved in sourcing the right repertoire as well. So yeah, it's just a big process, but it's very exciting because you, especially as an artist like us, we've been in this business now together as El Divo for 12 years. We've released so many records, and you want to challenge yourself every time again. You want to grow, you want to evolve, you want to explore different areas, you know. So it's always very exciting, this process.
Was Carlos a different role for you in this record as Spanish representative? Did that, you know, was there a different place that you had to step in?
The place was, I mean, obviously I knew all the repertoire more than them, of course. But what we did, we just put a list together from our side, 150 songs, and then from the record company, another 150. There was about 300 songs. And then we went to the studio and we were recording about 25, 30 songs. And then that's the way we choose which would be the best ones. And it was quite difficult. I mean, obviously, to put so many Latin songs or Latin melodies there, that they have so many things to say that to put only 11, that was quite difficult. But yeah, but we did a very good job, and we are very proud. And we are even nominated for the Latin Grammys for this record. So really happy.
How's the pronunciation for everybody else here? How'd they do?
Well, yours is perfect. I mean,
mine
I
is
can understand you perfectly. They're really good, I must say. I mean,
¿Cómo es mi acento?
¿Eh?
¿Cómo es mi acento?
Lo has clavado. Muy bien.
Habla por ti.
So the thing is, because now for 12 years we're singing so much in Spanish, so they really have a very good accent. I mean, I must say that they learn first the bad words and then and then the normal words.
Yeah, guess from who?
Usually the way it goes.
Yeah.
So you over the years, you guys have. I mean, first of all, you come from obviously different traditions, cultures, languages, and then you've sung in so many different languages and so many different styles. But is there a different character singing in different languages? Is there a feel to singing words in Spanish that's different than singing words in Italian? That's different than singing English? What's the, do they have those kind of identities?
Really?
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's hard enough to speak English.
My point exactly.
Well, for me, when I joined this wonderful band, I had zero experience with languages. English was actually sort of difficult for me. And I must say that they had already had experiences in the past in being in the opera. It's something that's quite common to sing in many languages. And I was like, oh, how am I going to do this? I remember being in the studio, and Carlos was helping me with the Spanish. He speaks a little bit of Spanish, right? Being from Spain. And it was sort of, strange. That was unfamiliar territory, and I had to understand what I was talking about. And then somehow, I think over the course of the last couple of weeks or something, you get used to it and you get into it. And then we did Latin, and then after that we had to sing in Italian, and I was like, wow, my God, it's overwhelming. But now it feels absolutely natural, I think it's something we integrated in our songs. I feel used to it now, and yeah, I find that actually Spanish is probably the most, I like mixing English, it's in Spanish. I live in California and everyone speaks Spanish, so more than English. So I feel, God, now I know a little bit of English, now I have to speak Spanish, okay. But it's really nice to mix those two languages because in the way we sing, it really suits our voices, really, basically, Spanish, I find.
mean, for you guys, do you find that, again, that there's a different, outside of which you're comfortable with or come from or had to learn, but is there a different, is there a different feel to the words of the different languages?
Well, for myself, I think there is definitely a different feel. As Sebastian said, having my roots in classical music and opera, and having learned French as kind of my second language, and then Italian as my second language, and then German as well. I didn't really do a lot of German opera, but the difference between French and Italian it's very, very subtle. You have different words, but you have different syntax, you have different ways in which these words, like the difference between amore and amour, like there's a different, they're both sensual words, but they have a different feel and flow to each one. I hadn't sung in Spanish before Il Divo, so it was really interesting to learn yet another language and yet another way, another Latin language, and another kind of flavor on how to express. And words ultimately are just pointers towards emotion. And the nature in which a word will point towards something has a content to it, whether it's like a pointed word or it's a round word, it's a soft word. Just the feeling of it kind of indicates the emotional content. And Spanish has a really nice, very versatile blend of feeling to it. We can use it in in a way that evokes more kind of the words and the text and the kind of a more pop sensibility, but it also translates very well to the open nature and open-throated singing that we do as opera singers. And so I think this moment of singing all in Spanish, it really has the most versatility and it has the most color of I think for us all of the in a different way, because the other albums have mixes of different languages, so each of the different colors show up in that way, whereas Spanish kind of can navigate between all of those.
What?
Can you summarize this for me?
So to sum up,
yes.
yes.
You guys have, over the years, certainly taken on a bunch of big pop songs and songs that are, there's sort of standards, but then there's also songs that are kind of identified with one big hit recording. On this album you do, To All the Girls I've Loved Before. How do you take a song like that where there's such a, defining sort of iconic hit version that's what everybody thinks of in their head? How do you find your way into a song like that? What does it take to sort of break through, what everybody initially hears when they see the title of that song?
For Carlos, it's super simple because he's a single one and he loves ladies.
Yes.
It was like a song written for him.
And my phone number is 6, no.
Well, what works best for me personally is if I know the song that I do not really preoccupy my mind with this iconic version that might have been out there for decades already, I really approach a song as if it was a song that's just been written last week for Il Divo. I sit on the piano, I look at the chords, I look at the words, I sing it for myself, and I try to feel what I feel when I approach that melody, when I approach these words. And then obviously the fact that we go into the studio and we sing it with 4 people, we share it, and we often do it in a translation as well, when we record it my way first, which obviously is one of the most iconic songs that exists in the whole world's repertoire. We've recorded it in Spanish first, and I know the Gypsy Kings have done a version in Spanish, which is obviously very different from everything, but there wasn't really a direct comparison out there, so it's not that difficult for Il Divo to make a song our own, because there are so many elements just with the configuration we work that will set it apart from all these original versions already.
Is it as easy as that to set us? I understand saying go in like it's a new song and keep that out, but with a song like My Way, with a song like To All the Girls, it's different, but to a song like Hallelujah. What is it to actually do that, to get to a place that's clear enough to hear, okay, here's how we can find a lane where we can get into this?
We need to do that. I mean, because obviously being four voices and doing four harmonies, that's the only way to try to make a song ours. And that's what we always do in every single record. So therefore, that's what's happened with Regresa a mí, Unbreak My Heart. That there was a point that the people even thought, some of the people, that they thought that it was written for us instead of Tony Braxton, because it was so successful by us. So, but yeah, as Will said, that's the only way to try to put some harmonies in every song, because if you have a a reference from other people, then it's very difficult to find those harmonies.
We were also very lucky to have producers that created kind of the demo versions for us that had a very unique flavor that didn't sound like any other version. So when you have just a different nature kind of supporting you than the track you're used to hearing, it brings something out of you as you in the moment of interpreting the pieces of it. And it's also, as Carlos said, we break the song up. So we share it in a way where it's like you get one line, you get two lines, he gets a phrase, whatever. So it's never like you're going into it and ever attacking the entire song. It's like there's a cooperation on so many levels that helps to kind of break it apart for us.
Well, Tom, I was just going to ask about, you said the different elements that you guys are working with. How does that, how scripted do you go in with those arrangements? How much do they change once you're in there singing? When you choose a song, does one of you put up your hand and say, I got this one? What is it to get from, okay, we're going to do this song, have some idea what that might be, to where it actually ends?
Well, we've done kind of everything over the years. We've recorded albums where we recorded the whole entire album vocally only with a piano guide, which is difficult in so far, because then you really have to source every emotion and everything out of yourself at the moment, where you are alone in the vocal booth, which is not a very inspiring environment generally. So it's kind of, from a feeling, from an interpretive point of view, is kind of difficult. But then again, it somehow gives you total freedom of doing what you want. We've also recorded albums where we had the complete orchestra recorded, and then you sing onto that. And that's quite interesting, because that's more, especially for us classical singers, that's what you do in classical music. Obviously, that's all existing music. And yeah, you might practice the song or the aria with piano, but then when you actually perform it, you've got a big old orchestra supporting you, and it's beautiful. We've also done the arrangements, the vocal arrangements. We've sat in the studio and pretty much said, yeah, I got this one, and oh, I think I could sing a harmony on that one. But we also worked with producers who know us very well over the last few years especially, and normally we kind of go into the studio these days with a suggestion. Sebastian is going to start the song, then we're going to have David, then we're going to have Carlos singing the first chorus, and so on. And that stuff always changes slightly once we are actually working on the piece, because it might not quite sound right, it might not be the ideal range for that voice, because obviously with the four of us and our distinctively different voices, we have got a huge range of colors at our disposal. And if we get it right, to really put the right color dot in the right place in that music, then it leads to a great picture together. So it's always a bit fluent, but insofar there's no real recipe to it. And it's quite interesting, tagging on to that, one of the questions we probably got asked mostly over the last 12 years, except for what Simon Cowell is what is the magic of El Divo? What's the secret? And there is no secret, there is no magic to it. It's just the fact that the four of us, with our personalities, the way we are, the way we are passionate about music, the way we feel it individually, the way we interpret it, and bring it all together and make it one. That's what makes El Divo. And that's why there's only one El Divo out there. So.
I won't ask you what Simon Cowell was like, but I will. But
Who's
having having now sung together, you said 12 years, long time in this configuration. What's changed in the dynamic? What's when you look back at what you guys were at the beginning, how you sang together at the beginning? What comes to mind as either within the singing relationships, within the voices? What have you sort of figured how to carve out and put back together? How do you look back from beginning to now?
Everything's changed already because we're in the now, obviously. And we have had amazing, experiences from singing with Barbra Streisand here at Madison Square Garden to performing for the Queen in England for the Jubilee, or for Obama. It was just, it's amazing. The list goes on. So there's amazing memories of that. But the way that our band really work is, what's the next thing? What are we going to do? So we care about this interview, what we're going to do. We're going to care about our tour to come, which we are indeed very exciting. That's sort of where our head is at the moment. And, we're super happy of the evolution of the way that our music has changed over the years, because then you do a pop album, then you go a bit more classical, then you do a Latin album. I don't know what's the next one, maybe heavy metal or something. I don't know. Who knows?
We're all waiting.
But, I think you have to reinvent yourself, and I'm going to speak to what's coming next, really, for us. This tour that we're about to have, well, we're going to be actually in America from September to November, really, touring all across the States. Check Divo.com if you want to know where we're coming. However, we're just going to be playing some instruments, which we haven't really done because we're all musicians, and we realize that what people don't really see is our personalities, and we're going to try to do that as much as possible on stage. And then we also we're going to have too many surprises, so if I start going through the list, then I'm going to spoil you guys coming and see us. But I believe that there's a lot of things that people haven't seen from us that needs to be shown. I'm really excited about it. We're going to be dancing. There's going to be a lot of dancer on stage.
Dancing is a loose term.
Okay, well, we're going to move the hips.
Moving around.
Well, there's a lot to it, so we're going to move around. Turn left, move right. Move, it happens.
So we've done our time up here. We're going to now get a couple of questions from you in the audience and out in the bigger audience.
Question from an online viewer. So Jane would like to know, for everyone, what has been your favorite country to visit on tour?
Jane, this is a great question. Thank you. USA. Come on, go USA!
Are you running for president too?
Yes! My
It's
name
election
is
season.
Donald Isenbach.
The good thing we have everywhere amazing fans. So I wouldn't say only USA or Latin America or Spain or whatever or Japan. I mean, it's so different every place, and we have so many presents from all the fans. We have really loyal fans. That's something amazing, and I would say everywhere. So to be politically correct.
Well done, fantastic. I think over the last 11, 12 years, the most exciting thing has been discovering new countries. And every time we go to a country and kind of getting to explore a little bit, because we don't really have, when we go on tour, we don't have that much time. It's mostly hotels and airports, but we have gotten to spend a great deal of time in Japan. When we go there, it's a pretty extensive tour, and when we go to Tokyo, we usually kind of set down there and play at least 3 or 4 performances. So we've had time to really get to know and explore that place, and so for me, that's been absolutely fascinating to kind of see a culture that is similar to our own in a way, but very, very different in many, many other ways. But to see a different culture embrace the same music as the States or as the other countries is tremendously inspiring, because it's like the power of music transcends countries, it transcends language, and it just kind of brings everyone together, and that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is not about being politically correct or wishy-washy, but I have to agree with Carlos, because in every territory in this world, and we are so fortunate that we've been touring the whole world pretty much, except for Antarctica maybe, over the last 12 years. But if you go to Japan, we are very, very successful in Japan, as David just said, but the way the audience and the people treat you is so completely different from when you go to Latin America, when you go to the United States, when you go to the UK. That's all the biggest territories probably we play. So I can't really make up my mind, this is the greatest one or this is the greatest one. It's just so different, but it's so incredibly enriching for us to get in touch with all these cultures.
And just,
USA!
just to quickly follow that, is there anywhere still that you dream of, that you haven't been to, that you dream of going? Is anything left?
Well, I haven't personally been to a lot of the Asian countries like Cambodia, Thailand. I've never been to India. These are places where I've never really been. We've been to Vietnam very quickly once for a corporate show, but literally just like we're going to Dubai now, so yeah.
When you guys formed as a group, what was like a moment in your career together where you kind of realized that you had something special?
It was really difficult at the beginning, of course. Imagine four guys you're throwing to the studio. They're going to say, and a guy called Simon Cowell said, look, you need to be friends for the next 15, 20 years. And those are the songs, and you come from your solo career. Obviously, it took us a while to know what was the sound of El Divo. And I remember with I'm Breaking My Heart, Regresa a Mí, when we did listen to it for the first time, we thought, wow, that sounds like El Divo sound. And then after that, after 3 years to sing number ones everywhere, I remember we were in Japan, and they were putting on the screen all the awards that we were winning. Yes, and suddenly we looked to each other and said, wow, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, close to now, how many million? 30 million, 40 million records?
100 million.
100 million. 100 million records now.
Yeah.
Yes, it's close to 40 million records, and yes, so many things happen, and so many women in my life, and so no.
100 millions. So
I don't know how to answer that.
14 million records, 100 million ladies for Carlos.
No, because I'm the only divorced one, so no, but I'm still available just in case. Okay, thank you.
You put a hashtag.
Yeah,
Carlos,
hashtag.
Carlos this desperation.
Carlos
hashtag.
Marine is
Welcome
available.
to the last 12 years of my life.
Yeah, I know. Another 12 years to
So
come.
if Simon says 15 years, we have to make it friends. There's only 3 years left.
I know.
And after that, I don't have to be your friend.
No, never.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Just checking.
It was a pleasure, French guy.
Clock starts running. No. We can take one more.
With all four of you coming from 4 different nationalities, I guess, or where you're from, what's one thing you guys learn about each other, and who do you think is the lady killer in the group?
Killer is a wide, broad term. I think Carlos fancies himself the lady killer for sure.
What? The what?
The ladies' man.
The lead?
Are you the ladies' man?
Oh, yeah.
No, women.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much, yeah. I'm just half deaf because the ladies.
The thing doesn't work anymore.
No, but I think that the thing that was most interesting was that for me as an American and kind of perceiving Europe as a whole, and these 3 guys being from countries that were all bordering each other, kind of having a perception that Europe is kind of has a mentality or a feel or a, they're kind of like that. It was kind of a stereotype I might have had in my mind. But to see the differences between French and Spain was like night and day. It was like these guys have completely different approach to life, completely different priorities about music, about women, about
USA.
everything, and about Sebastian isn't barred for president. It's going to happen. You'll see.
I'm getting my green card.
He's getting his green card. It's on the way. I have to make some changes to the law. And then Switzerland, I didn't really know that much about Switzerland.
Good watchers. Good watchers in Switzerland.
But
Neutral.
it really just completely, yet again, a whole other universe of like mentality and an emotional approach to life. Well, I use emotional, but he is Swiss, so maybe that's not the right word. He's a robot. Watches, they're very precise. Yeah, and it's just been like, it's been an enriching experience to really kind of get to know the intricacies and the inner workings of and to break down the stereotypes.
Everybody, thank you for watching Il Divo. Congratulations.
Thanks,
Amor
guys.
y Pasión. The tour will be back into the States in the fall, but you'll be out starting through the spring. Thanks for watching in here. Thanks for watching through the cameras.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Alan.